It didn't matter if it was the entrance aisle at Madison Square Garden, or the produce aisle. I always treated both with the same sort of respect. A lot of the guys back then sort of saw it above them to go out into the grocery store, I think. I mean, there was sort of the sense that you're tired from being on the road and traveling. The last thing you kinda wanna do is go get your week's groceries with your wife and kids, you know. A lot of guys got home and they'd just sort of sit on the couch and watch The Simpsons. Which, since I was on The Simpsons, that kinda never appealed to me anyways. I believed whatever you put in your body at home translated to what you put out in the ring on the road. Julie used to like seeing me get in my ring gear, oil my hair, and put on the jacket. Julie would usually run ahead and give the customer service girl a cassette with my theme they could play when I entered the store. I'd make a real effort to at least go down 2 aisles, slapping hands with the fans in their carts. Usually I'd wrap it up by walking up to a deserving produce clerk and putting my glasses on them. It always got a pretty good reaction. The fans knew when I was in the store, they were going to get their money's worth, you know. A good grocery store trip is not really much different from a good match. You gotta sort of go in there with a bit of a game plan, what sort of story you're going to tell in there. Some guys like a Yoko would get real blown up early in the produce section, and by the time they got to the coffee aisle they were looking for that quick roll-up finish, you know. That's why a lot of the guys wanted to always go get groceries with me. They knew they were gonna get their vegetables, their meats, their grains, but most of all they knew they'd be safe. They knew they could leave the store how they went in, and that they'd be able to go back to their families. Which is something I took a lot of pride in. My dad Stu used to say that a real shooter always leaves the frozens for the finish, which is kind of an old school way of saying leave the cold stuff for last so it doesn't melt. Which makes a lot of sense even today. Don't bring out the big spots or frozen stuff early, you know. It's only going to melt, or lose a lot of its impact. Which is sort of a problem with today's wrestlers. I remember shopping with Bill Goldberg one time, and from the second he smashed through the automatic doors, he no-sold the entire store. He rushed his cart right past everyone and everything to the meat department. From there he'd spear his cart into the frozen food section, and then to the cashier. I mean, he'd get out of the store in about 4 to 5 minutes tops. Of course he'd get to his car, and wouldn't have anything of substance. No vegetables, no starches, and his eggs would be all smashed. Which just really showed how he was a real sloppy piece of shit. He was both in the grocery store, or in the ring.